All right, welcome to Ship Chasing. We have kicked the beta ADP chasing boys back to the Monday time slot, and the true football guys, the real alphas, have commandeered the Wednesday flagship show once again. We are going to be drafting a best ball mania team here, of course. That's what you guys come to watch us do, fucking draft. So let's do it.
Pat Fryer Helmo.
This is why I'm hot.
Anita Handjob.
Fix your sight.
Jamar Alpha Play Chase.
Are you kidding me? Kadarius Toney?
You can't handle the heat.
It looks like we're finally this boys. You're right.
All right. Pat, I guess you're kind of saddling the fence as an ADP chasing guy and a ship chasing guy. Do you self-identify with one group more than the other?
I live in two worlds at once. No, I mean, obviously, I'm ship chasing forever.
There you go. All jokes aside, I was behind on the past two ADP chasings and caught up on those today. Awesome stuff. I'm sure you guys know by now to be checking that out. They've moved the schedule around a little bit, but we'll be settling into the noon Eastern time slot on Mondays, which pairs really well with I do Best Ball Breakfast on my channel. You can watch that and then head over and watch ADP Chasing. Ben Gretch, how's it going, buddy?
It's good. Yeah, ADP Chasing's crushing. I'm excited. I'm going to come on this coming Monday. Sam is going to have to take the week off. He's busy, right? So I'm going to pop on.
Yeah, Ben, I'm glad to have you on, but like you keep putting us in headlocks. Pushing us in lockers. Psyched to hang out with you nerds. It's a little much, man.
Yeah. I mean, I'm enjoying being the jock, I guess. I'm usually the stat nerd. So
it is nice that we created another show. It makes this show not look nerdy. That's the way. That's what we had to do.
I'm trying to think, like, what could you guys do if we just create like a Russian nesting doll level of shows? So what would be the nerdier version of your guys' show so you could stuff them in lockers?
I think it's whatever that Excel Olympics thing that Leone competed in.
that probably is it. Exactly right. Everyone always has lots of good ideas. Playing some poker right now, call it chip chasing. It really is an infinite amount of things you can chase. Gretch, are there any updates for you on the drafting front? Have you driven across the border to fire some slow drafts? Where are you at?
I'm not yet. It's going to happen soon. The updates are, I think I'm greenlit. I think I'm good to go. It's just a 3.5 hour drive one way. So I gotta plan it out a little bit, map it out. It's allergy season up here. You can see my nose is like bright red. It's like super sensitive to the touch. So I'm like half there mentally. So I'm like, probably don't need to start 50 slow draft. Like this is where I'll auto draft 100 times. Like I'm forgetting to like check on things. I made a steak a little bit ago. I cook it on the stove and I put it in the oven. I forgot to turn the fucking oven on for like 5 minutes. It was sitting in the oven. Like that's where I'm at right now. Like probably not the right time to start a million slow drafts, but I'll get there in a couple weeks.
My question for you with this, Gretch, is are you going to tell the family like your true intentions, or are you going to try to Trojan horse this of being like, oh, there's this really cute antique shop across the border. I thought we could all go on a family trip to check it out. And then while you're there, you're just in the bathroom max registering. Like how's this going to go down?
I already told the wife everything. That would have been funny. The kids are basically getting played like that. Like the idea is we're going to plan something down on the coast. It's going to be a family vacation, like this and that. But like, really, I'm going to be max entering. Like I'm gonna do some fast drafts.
Man, that's what I wanted to hear. Yeah. Get some fast drafts.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely got to get some fast drafts.
I'm just thinking of like the 2023 version of like National Lampoon's Vacation and Clark Griswold's like driving in the family like wagon or whatever, but like drafting best ball mania teams because it's the only time he's able to do it across the border. That's how I picture you, Gretch.
Hey, by the way, is Utah a legal state? Because I'm going there for a bachelor party in July, so I'm mapping out my summer. If anyone in the chat's from Utah, let me know.
I'm almost positive Utah is a legal state. I'm pretty sure nice. I know some Utah drafters there. Pat, how many BBM teams deep are you?
I think I have 9 done. I've been over on DraftKings a little bit recently, and I fired like 35 puppies in.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean the puppies
all
are
live.
Fun. Yeah. What? Slow draft? Come on.
No, well, I did hear, I think it was the guys over at OWS who had a really sharp call on, because so much of the initial puppy was drafted before the schedule. I think it was like 40% maybe, or 45, that like getting a ton of slow drafts in at the last to get close to maxing it, knowing that your entries would have the information advantage of knowing the schedule. Like I thought that would have been a sharp strategy. And then I ended up doing like 5 slows and I just stopped and I was like, I can't be in slow draft hell again.
Yeah, that's, I mean, if you can do that, like definitely it was sharp, because so you have that extra schedule information as a massive edge on the rest of the field. But I just, instead, what I did is I fired 3 puppies and then like something came up and I wasn't able to draft them appropriately. And they were like my last 3 puppies are just an abomination.
Yeah.
How rich, right? I mean, guy wins $2 million. He just starts firing drafts off.
$15, Ben. So I'm pretty sure you could fire off $15 into the sun. You'd be fine.
It would be fun, because everyone always says this thing, and I've said it too, right? Use the puppy and the $5 ones as like an experimental, training ground, sandbox, whatever have you.
Yeah.
How many of you have actually done that? Like, how many of you
I did a lot of that.
Did you do like 1 quarterback builds, 1 tight end builds? What was the funkiest thing you did?
Well, I was trying to figure out if I could counter this ridiculous wide receiver ADP that everyone says is so inefficient, and it's like really hard. It's really hard. I was like, let me do an elite quarterback, elite tight end, and like 2 running backs. And can I dig out of that? The answer was no, I couldn't. I think all those teams are dead. But I didn't want to do that in Ball Mania. But that means like I'm taking like maybe 1 wide receiver through 5 rounds or so, 6 rounds. Maybe I have 2, like 2 through 6. It's really tough. It's max like 3 through 7. And I think, Hayden Winks is talked about going 4 through 7 is his golden rule. I've last year I said 4 through 9 was probably like a really good minimum. But you were pointing out 5 through 9 was really much better last year. And I do think like with the wide receiver prices going up, the issue of like getting locked out of that group of early wide receivers that are giving you sufficient firepower only gets more of an issue. So it's like there are like things you can do, but I don't think my puppy research suggests that you can't just be like 0 wide receiver, basically. Like, even though the wide receiver ADPs are the most expensive we've ever seen in the history of fantasy football, I think that's fair to say, I still don't really feel like 0 wide receiver, at least it didn't feel viable to me.
Yeah. Even today, and I do think one of the things we're going to talk about a lot this year, and you've touched on it about your team last year, was thinking about how the structures fit together and how those push you in other directions. And like today, I did one of my first elite quarterback builds where I took Josh Allen at the 2-3 turn. I had the 101, took Justin Jefferson, and then I also grabbed Ramondre there. And then I got an elite tight end. I took TJ Hawkinson. So I did elite QB, anchor in the 3rd, and Hawkinson. And so I knew right away, not only do I have to catch up at wide receiver hard, and I used some of the rookie wide receivers to do that. I took Mingo and Rashaad Rice, but I also punted RB2 until the double-digit rounds as well. And so it's like, once you make those decisions, you have to really think about how you're going to catch up at the other positions. And then subsequently, you better know where the value pockets are to be able to pull that off in at least a vaguely smart way.
I think that's viable. I think what you did is viable, but you're like, I mean, it's kind of fun because you're like, all right, I'm going to feel alive for the rest of this draft because I'm about to get locked out of wide receiver. And a couple, like, I don't know how, like, did you feel like you pulled that off in the rooms you're in? Because my concern would be being in a ship chasing room.
Right. And this wasn't a ship chasing room. This was on the fantasy live stream. It was more of a casual room. But yeah, and that is the other thing too, is like, I'm streaming 150 of my drafts all on stream. My rooms are different. My rooms are different than most rooms. So I have to think about other considerations there. And I will assess the room and I will not let myself get in that spot most of the time.
Well, are you factoring what stream you're on into your draft strategies? You are?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. The main thing I factor in, right, is once I enter a draft, right, now people are trying to anticipate it a little bit. I know the usernames. I see the badges. And if there's like 8 spots available when I hop in and everyone in the chat gets in there, I know what kind of room I'm headed for here. Gretch, aren't these the things you're excited to have to deal with? Imagine the Gretch piss boy rooms.
No, I mean, I am a little bit excited. I'm a little bit nervous. I definitely feel like I'm behind on. I mean, I think a lot of what, like, I've obviously heard all the concepts from you guys. I know what we're talking about in terms of construction and all of that, but a lot of it is just learned experience, right? And like, you guys draft a ton, and you put yourself in these positions and ask these questions. You're just talking about getting into puppies and using those as like a practice run. And seeing, what it means when you pass up the wide receivers and how you run out of steam. I mean, I don't know. I'm going to feet to the fire, man. I'm going to be jumping in with a bunch of people that have been doing this and doing it a lot. And I mean, the Underdog ADP is more efficient than any other ADP, I think, in the world. Like any of the other contests, I genuinely think it is. It's fascinating to look at it right now and to look at it in like the last couple of years. Like when I want to check ADP, I go check Underdog typically, like what's going on at Underdog, because that's where the most action is happening. That's where the most money. I mean, I know people have pointed out that certain guys get pushed up a little bit because of stacks and correlations and various things that are going on. But yeah, I mean, it's a sharp place to draft. It'll be fun. I'm excited to dip my toes in. Pat, your point about the wide receivers and like how there's eventually a cutoff. We talk about this a lot. I don't think we emphasize it enough, and it made me pull up something that I had been looking through some of my own writing from last year. But last year, I identified that end of that wide receiver window, as we sometimes called it, as around where Garrett Wilson and Rondale Moore go. And obviously Wilson hit, Rondale Moore didn't, but I still liked that bet, and I still do like that bet from last year. And then within a round or two, you're in this Devontae Parker and Joshua Palmer range. Like, those were the guys that I tried to highlight. And, I mean, in hindsight,
pretty
you
good.
Feel that.
That ages well. That ages very well.
The year prior, we were saying constantly, like, right around when Deebo Samuel goes off, and he ended up being a huge hit, and basically no one right after him really was a very strong hit. I felt the same way last year.
To me, it's Bateman. Bateman is like the last guy. It's like Bateman, Sutton. Sutton's like viable. But then right after that, it's like Juju.
Jacoby, Boyd.
And this is a significant point in every draft, every year, that I don't know if we talk about enough, but it's like, however many receivers in, 40, 50, I don't know the exact number, but there is a drop-off where like suddenly you are out of the real upside profiles and you're just looking at guys that run routes, basically, or need an injury or something.
And those guys aren't that different from, like, Michael Gallup goes pretty late, and like he's going to run routes, Marcus Valdes-Scantlings goes late, and he's going to run routes. So you end up in like, yeah, you'd rather have the guys that go in like round 11, but they're not that much better.
Yeah. And after that point, you better just start taking flyers on rookies, basically, and hope that you're right on a rookie that's just, a breakout.
In the double digits, and I mean, I guess this is casting a vaguely wide net, but it's rookies, second-year wide receivers, for me, like guys like Alec Pierce and Tyquan Thornton, and then correlation only. Like, there's very rarely a wide receiver pick I'm making that doesn't fall into one of those buckets, and normally it's two of those buckets.
Right. Yeah.
Somebody asked in the chat what my username is, by the way. I don't have one yet. I've been thinking about this. Wow. I also don't have I haven't done any promoing yet. I've heard that there's some promo codes out there, but that's something that I I'm gonna have to maybe open up for bidding on the promo code thing.
Well, there's only one bidder if you're trying to
I know.
You're doing Underdog.
Well, I mean, Gretch, to me it's pretty simple. You either go with Gretch, just for the super clean, no one's ever regretted just having their name, or you go with yards per Gretch. I don't think you would. I mean, what are you gonna name your handle? Dead Zone?
I mean, I think something like Daily Rojo makes a lot of sense, right? Like, that won't go bad over the years. Just pick a player and attach my name to him.
If Pat wouldn't have won, that name would have aged so fucking poorly. He got bailed out so much.
Now, Ben, just so I'm clear, are you talking about two-time Super Bowl champion Ronald Jones?
Yes, that's who I was referencing.
Gretch, did I catch you in our group chat eyeing up Ronald Jones' contract for this year relative to Rashaad?
Oh,
Penny?
Yeah. I mean, I'm working on NFC East projections. It's more a comment that Rashaad Penny didn't make anything, but I mean, Ronald Jones got $300,000 guaranteed, has the same base salary as Rashaad Penny this year, and is like his overall earnings are right in the same range. They're both 1-year deals, very similar deal. I don't think our community views them as very similar players, but Ronald Jones got some guaranteed money, and he's that who. Okay, you know what I came to with the Cowboys projection? Like Zeke is definitely going to be back. Who's going to get their goal line work? They didn't really trust Pollard. Remember the Ian Hartitz tweet with all the 1-yard TDs Zeke had and Pollard? Like they gave him some of that. I know Sam Sherman would love if Pollard would get all that goal line work, but he's a smaller back. They gave him some opportunities there. He didn't do an amazing job there. And all the other backs on the roster, like Malik Davis is sub 210. Everyone thinks Malik Davis is going to be a thing. Like I don't think he's Zeke, right? Like then they went and got the smallest running back in the whole draft, Deuce Vaughn, to come in. Ronald Jones is not a huge back. I mean, I honestly think like Zeke's going to be back.
He's like 215. No. He put on a bunch of weight after he totally sucked.
Okay. Well, maybe he's the new Zeke then. That's why I went to there. But if it's not Jones, I was looking up their listed weights, and I think he's listed under 210 as well. It's like they don't even have a back on the roster under 210. Dak, by the way, used to be a 6 touchdown a year rushing TD guy. Since his leg injury, 2 rushing TDs in 2 seasons, 1 each year. Completely different usage around the goal line for him. I mean, they just give it to Zeke every time. What are they going to do in close? They're going to bring him back.
Google has Ronald Jones at 205, but as someone who was reading Ronald Jones blurb when he was putting on weight, I could tell you he's not 205.
I trust you more than Google. Daily Rojo knows his weight.
You better. I want to do an ADP sliding doors hypothetical. If Ronald Jones and Rashaad Penny switched spots, it was Rashaad Penny that went to the Cowboys. Ronald Jones signed for the same amount as Penny on the Eagles. What would their ADPs be?
Similar to where they are,
Similar to where they are now.
Yeah.
You think Rojo would be a 10th round pick?
No. I think similar to they would be very similar to the current ADPs.
All right. Yeah. So you're saying that people would just be full. So in that scenario, do you think DeAndre Swift would be going in like the 3rd or 4th because they'd be like Rojo sucks?
Yeah.
Yep.
I think I do. I think DeAndre Swift would be going in the 4th round.
That was sort of my point in breaking down their contracts in our little chat, was like, this is not the way people think these players are impacting these teams, but this is how these teams viewed these players, at least on the open market, or what they're willing to give them. Now you could just say that the Eagles are smart and made a smart low value, move and got
because Penny's so injury. He's dealt with so many injuries. So
yeah, I mean,
hey, I'm the only one who was here last week. Okay, hey Hodge, don't say that I'm the one who is.
Pat almost does as many shows as me these days. It's impressive.
This is my 3rd podcast today.
Where do you think Tony Pollard would go in drafts if they had signed Rashaad Penny?
I think lower.
Question.
I think you would have dropped.
Definitely lower, but how much?
Maybe
around
6th round.
Yeah. Really? He would be an absolute smash.
Maybe 5th. Maybe 5th.
Yeah, maybe 5th. Probably.
I don't think he'd escape the 4th. That's my snap.
Probably
snap
would.
take.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
I mean, he was almost in the 4th, like before Zeke got cut. People. I mean, Penny's better than Zeke. Maybe people wouldn't think that. I don't know.
All right. The time has come. It's time to draft, baby. Let's do it. All right. This is what draft is? I think I put it in here. This is my 22nd draft.
What do you got going here in the draft room? This is new to me.
This is the brick draft caddy. It's just my exposures and then week 16 and week 17 matchups.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So we have, let's see.
I got to start watching all your best ball draft streams if I'm going to start drafting some of these teams. I mean, I don't draft, so I haven't been watching a lot of them.
Actually, Gretch, I did want to ask you this as we get underway here, because this is starting to be a topic coming up. And I know you haven't drafted a ton yet, but I know you've reviewed some ADP stuff. What is your take on the RB dead zone being dead? Because I've seen that bandied about at places.
Yeah, I mean, I think it shifted. I certainly don't think I'm the sole arbiter on reading how things are moving, and just somebody who talked about the past stuff. But based on my research from the very beginning, one of the big things we've always talked about was the guys in the dead zone that do hit are the youngsters, the rookies, the second-year players. There's still some enticing guys in that age range that are in that dead zone range. But also most of the ones that maybe used to fall there aren't in there. They're moving out of it, right? They're moving up. Like the market has gotten better at that. Like Jahmyr Gibbs is going very, very high, right? Who's the other one we were talking about today? He's a second-year player.
Travis Etienne.
Travis Etienne.
Third. But
Maybe he would have still been a third rounder a few years back, but I think Gibbs probably would have been a dead zone fourth, fifth rounder, but a dead zone guy you could target. But I think when you look at the dead zone, you look at the backs that are going there, a lot of them do check the boxes that historically players going in this range. What it's saying is like, okay, this guy has shown us what he is. He's played a certain number of years. We have a good idea on what type of player he is, and the market is not buying that he has elite upside. They won't take him in the early rounds, where they will take any running back that looks like a potential superstar that has legendary upside, like Pat has written about, right? The market's not buying that on this player, whoever it is, Najee Harris, right?
Najee Harris couldn't be more of a dead zone back.
He's a dead zone back. Like but I also think in best ball, it's more viable to draft them because there's something to be said about just getting guaranteed touches in best ball when you can't get anything off the waiver wire. It's a little bit different of an equation. Absolutely. Like the whole running back production pie is going to be smaller across the whole landscape because people aren't going to be adding players, right? So anyway, we should probably make a pick.
I love AJ Brown here.
I'm Gretch. You gonna say anything bad about AJ Brown?
I've never said no to AJ Brown.
Dude, it was
Bijan
so
went 9 though. That would have been fun. I would take Bijan
fun.
over AJ Brown.
Yeah, I did a draft with Ian Harditz, and he like hates the week 17 correlation stuff, and they named the video like a week 17 hater and a correlator draft. Ian accidentally drafted CeeDee Lamb and Amon-Ra St. Brown at the 1-2 turn and didn't realize it.
That's so
it was
funny.
so good.
My God.
All right.
I mean,
what do you
we
guys
got to take
do?
Garrett Wilson, right?
If-
We don't have to
if
if
you
we don't want to.
I'm good with that.
I'm
What do
fine.
you want to do? You want to take?
I mean,
Austin
these
Eckler?
are Pat's regs, so this is where Pat he
These are my
disagrees with-
ranks. God damn
Yeah.
it.
Yes, we
Updated
get to do
ones,
it again.
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson
Oh.
is sort of like, I don't know. I mean, my new man crush. I really enjoy starting AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson. Those are two players I have very high degree of confidence in.
Honestly, like I haven't done, I think I've in 22 drafts, I would have to go check, but I'm pretty sure I've only done 2 or 3 0 RB drafts out of the 22 or 23. So I'm excited about having a 0 RB draft potentially because this puts us in a weird range where yes, we could be in play for like an ETN or Gibbs, but otherwise, like
That's when you hit the dead
generally
zone.
looking at wide receivers here. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you can say that it's not the dead zone or this is not dead, or you can go running back there. But the point is, like, it's not as good of a bet as the wide receivers at that cost. And after ETN and Gibbs are off the board, that's probably the case. Now, this has been a wide receiver heavy draft, right?
Yeah.
A little bit. I mean, I guess I don't know the current ADPs, but four receivers
it was
to start,
off,
6.
offset a little bit by the Jalen Hurts pick. I think it's now back on track. So we'll have to see here.
I was kind of
would
thinking with the Garrett Wilson pick that we might be in play for Gibbs in the third, but maybe we won't. Maybe we'll get sniped by one of those 3 badges right in front of us now that I'm talking about what we want.
Actually, I just noticed something fishy. Gretch saying like he's like getting ready to play on Underdog and he doesn't know what to name his team. And yet here out of the 6 hole, there's a conspicuous wide receiver start from a guy named New Username. Gretch, is
that guys?
is that you?
Username.
Guys, I got to do something on my phone here real quick.
That's the best you can come up with, Gretch.
I mean, that's pretty good. I like that.
That is pretty good.
I'm going to be new username 2.
Hey,
There you go.
it's better than Daily Rojo, probably. So,
Yeah. All right, actually, let's do this too, Ben, because you had a post today about stealing signals. We got our guy David in the chat. He's teeing you up for the sales job. Is being a founding member for Signals worth it? I'm definitely subscribing, but I'm undecided about upgrading to founding sub. Ben, don't hem and haw. Tell him why being a founding sub will change his life.
I mean, I literally wrote in the post that I don't have any like exact plan. So this is going to be my typical sales pitch, which is do what you want. Like, subscribe or don't.
Come
No,
on.
I'm gonna do some stuff for the founding subs. During the year last year, I've done Q&As on Discord. I want to try to do those on video because it's hard to type. I have long thoughts. In case you guys didn't know this, ship chasing audience, and it's hard to type all my answers every week. So I was hoping to maybe do that as a premium stream, basically, like Q&A with the audience. That would be a founding member thing. There's going to be other little like perks like that, but I mean, most of the stuff I want to make available to regular subs. So it's not going to be like there's going to be a ton of stuff cordoned off just for founding members. It's more just an option for people that want to support it, basically.
Awesome.
That's not an exciting sales pitch.
We got to
be a
work
good
on
stream,
your
though.
sales pitches.
Good premium
Yeah.
stream.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
When are you going to start narrating your podcast like Pat?
I'm not doing that ever. Fuck that.
Yeah.
I edit aloud, so it is actually it doubles as like my final edit on the post. So I
That is
tell
a
myself
good.
it.
That is actually kind of a nice little check there.
Yeah, that's nice.
All right, so maybe this could be fun here between quarterbacks and potential. So this drafter starts Bijan and JT. Are they feeling behind the 8 ball or not? Het, you feeling behind?
Let's see. I think that
He's
Oh!
I think it's fine. I think Lamar here is pretty sick though.
I'm definitely on board with that. Gretch, you have any other takes
Do
on
you
the
want to
board
go
you
Lamar
like?
over the running backs?
I do. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, Lamar's not here a lot now.
Lamar
I think just
310 is not a thing?
He's moving up into the early third.
Wow.
Really? I haven't seen that much in mine.
Really? I mean, he's got
It's
what,
not-
ADP 31.
Yeah, we're at 34.
All right.
But I mean, I have no problem with him. But yeah, I guess I just haven't seen him feeling steamy.
This feels like a nice little value to me, but I guess
I
it's
will
like three
say,
picks.
I'll probably be wrong on this and miss, and that'll suck, but I will probably be out on QBs in the first few rounds for my first few drafts personally. I just think this is a mistake. Like, I mean, I understand the logic behind it, but I do think it's too much weight being put on. It narrows the path to the elite ceilings that you need, I think.
It definitely does. But well, let's make our pick, and then because I think I kind of feel like similar to the wide receiver ADP, where it's difficult to counter this quarterback ADP, which makes I don't like this as much as the wide receiver ADP. It's not like, to me, I'm like, obviously we've been saying wide receivers, got to get your wide receivers for years, and now everyone's getting the wide receivers, and so it feels comfortable. Quarterbacks
Gibbs?
don't feel as comfortable. Gibbs.
Gibbs
Yeah.
seems
All
fun.
right. We are universally in agreement. That's I mean, makes me feel a lot better about the Jackson pick because that's
Right, because the 2v2, I'm guessing we would have gone Gibbs, and then we would have taken like one of Lamar Fields if they made it back, probably.
right.
Yeah. But I'm a big fan of Lamar this year. I think he's really fun.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah,
stack
I
him
agree.
later. It's easy to do. Obviously, we can't get it.
I think he should be a tier up from Fields at least.
Yeah.
So
I think he's got the same ceiling as the top three guys.
yeah. When we're
He's
talking
not
about
as likely to hit it.
yeah, for sure. I mean, he's always had ceiling like that. We've talked about that. We talked about it last year. Like Lamar and Kyler were, I think they were good bets to make last year. They both got hurt. What are you going to do? I mean, and they weren't like great when they were healthy either, but they certainly had the type of ceiling where they could have got on a run late in the year if they were healthy and been a huge part of the story of the 2022 season. Instead, they both weren't playing. So that's just the way it works. But he's absolutely got that ceiling. I mean, we know that for sure.
We can't be doing value hound woos on 0.4 picks of ADP value. I mean,
On a running back in a ship chaser draft. Honestly, that's a reach in a
that's
ship
a
chasing
reach.
draft.
Yeah. Oh man. Geez. This is a visual. I would nut if I could get a Lamar Andrew stack without jumping ahead of ADP. I would absolutely nut myself.
Your only chance of doing that would be probably at the 312, right? You could maybe get them there.
Good point by Michael here. Team 9, Bijan, Jonathan Taylor, Breece Hall, Justin Fields. It will be fun to see how they recover here.
I think it's going to be tough, man. I think it's going to be really tough. personally, I think this start was okay, a couple years ago, and it did really well, I think, in 2020, right? Maybe not with the elite quarterback or not, but I really think it's tough to do this kind of start. And it's kind of a classic hyper fragile where if he takes like one more at the very end or whatever, it's
you got to stop with running back. You got to say Bijan, Jonathan Taylor, and Breece Hall, and those are all exceptional talents. Like you got to say they're going to be the top 3 running backs, and they can be.
And I have all 3 of them, and now I'm going to build that's all I need, and that's been a successful strategy. So far he hasn't done anything, hasn't made any mistakes, but I just think that this environment, it just makes that build so much harder.
I would say, wouldn't you? And I'm not a 3 tight end guy, but this almost has to be like a late tight end build. Like he just has to absolutely rip wide receivers here.
I think so. Yeah. If
he
could, we could end up liking this team. I think if he rips wide receiver from this point on.
Yeah. It's definitely not impossible. I don't actually think this room is particularly wide receiver heavy. As someone in the chat just said, all underdog drafts this year are wide receiver heavy. This isn't actually an avalanche room, I don't think.
Yeah, you're probably right.
That's a really interesting new username here. 2 unstacked quarterbacks.
Yeah,
in the
Ben,
4th
tell
and
us
5th,
about
Joe
why you
Burrow and
decided to do
Lawrence.
that.
Yeah, what's your thought, Ben?
I mean, look at these guys are going to chuck it around. They're going to take over the AFC.
I like Sam's team here from the 7 hole. The Josh Allen Diggs stack, Ramondre week 17, bring back Keenan, elite tight end with Kittle at 55. Fun team.
That's nice.
All right. Our tight ends are here for us if we want them. The teams behind us don't have a tight end yet. So if we do want an elite tight end, we got to take it now.
I'm in.
Let's do
Which
Pitts,
one?
man.
It's fucking Kyle Pitts season. Let's
Let's
go.
go.
We already
fucking
have
go.
the Eagle, so we could go with the correlation. But
Dude,
I see what you're saying.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna be.
but let's just do Pitts. It's better.
The hook has been getting tighter and tighter on me. I told myself I wasn't going to be really in on Pitts again this year, but dude, I
you
think
just
by
patted the
August
table
I'm going
for
to
him
be fucking
40
taking
seconds ago.
so much Kyle Pitts again.
Dude,
Yeah.
you
There's
can get
no
him-
fucking way it can go that bad again. There's no way.
Yeah.
I refuse to believe it's possible.
You can seriously get him in the 6 very easily.
I think
I
this
like
would be
Tyler
Godwin.
Lockett. Can we just stop drafting off my ranks? I just agree with the top of the fucking board.
Well, I was looking to see if we had any correlation tiebreakers in this tier.
Yeah.
And I'm not seeing anything. Gretch,
I
who do you
think
like?
Godwin, you're at 5. And he's ADP too, so screw Pat's ranks. We're going to go off.
Screw these ranks.
ADP.
What do I even?
Good.
Yeah. I just used my founding tier sub to see you got a value hound Chris Godwin there over Tyler Lockett. John says,
I think Godwin's pretty significantly underpriced. That's going to be a take of mine for a while at this price as well. There's no way. I mean, I think he should be going ahead of DJ Moore. He's incredibly talented. Godwin, whenever healthy, has been very productive. I love DJ Moore, but Godwin doesn't have the same concerns about pass volume. They're going to come back to earth. They don't have Brady anymore, but they broke records last year. They're still a pass team for the most part, I would guess. It's not like they're a great running team. Rashaad White didn't have a great rookie year. For most efficiency metrics, their strength is still their receivers. Godwin was coming off an ACL last year, was better down the stretch after he got healthy after that London game when he said he was finally healthy. I don't understand the disrespect on Chris Godwin. His price is insane. Evans, I get because he's a little bit older and there's you can see a fade and this and that, but I really the talent's there with Godwin. You can't get me to buy that.
And it does feel, and it's funny that we were comparing him to Tyler Lockett because in some ways it does feel a bit like the Seahawks heading into last year where everyone's like, oh, we don't trust this quarterback situation. Yeah, we like Lockett and Metcalf, but we're so worried about this offense that we're going to give you these really depressed prices. And it's a lot of the risk starts to get zapped out of it once these guys are falling. It's Mike Evans was a mid-second round pick last year. And now he's going here. Same. I mean, Chris Godwin had the injury, so he was cheap last year too, but I don't know. I like the idea that you're going on, Ben, of like betting on talent and fading noise about like, oh, this team isn't going to be a top 5 offense.
It's the same thing. I think the Seattle receivers are a great comp because it's the same thing as Geno last year, where everyone was sure they were bad and they were great picks. I don't think Baker's going to be amazing, but the range of pass volume is solid enough, and he can be solid enough from an efficiency standpoint. I think can be solid enough from an efficiency standpoint that it's not going to completely crater everything. I mean, it's just he's cheap enough in the 6th round at this point. This guy was like once a first round dynasty wide receiver type asset or 1-2 turn. And then he tore his ACL, and again, now he's back to health. I don't get it.
I mean, to me, it's
quiet. Are you out?
Yeah, I'm not very in on Godwin. I just think the offense is potentially a disaster, and like these coaches don't want to pass the ball. I know they did last year with Brady, but like it's different when you go from Tom Brady to Baker Mayfield. Like you got guys that aren't at this point. You're just trying not to get fired. You just want to be the guy who gets to coach the 101. So
I know, but we did say all those things about the Seahawks. They're not going to run the ball. Going from Russell Wilson to Drew Lock, is like
that's true. We did say that. That's true.
We could get another Eagle with DeAndre Swift.
Do we have any receivers here? We're just
we need the stack. We need to get a stack here.
Yeah, take Bateman. Oh.
We can
say Flowers goes higher than Bateman. We're not getting Bateman over Flowers.
I think we just get Bateman right now because we're going to have to take him with one of these 2 picks, right? I mean, it's either 82 or 87 because he's not coming to 106.
Yeah, everything else was flat there too. Unless I don't know. I didn't hear anyone pounding the table for anything, but I didn't see.
No, I think it's flat.
Yeah.
But we kind of like dicked around. We needed a wide receiver there.
At which one?
The right move. Just I think with that pick, we needed a wide receiver.
Oh yeah.
I'd like to get one with this pick too, if we can.
That was technically an ADP reach, but for all the reasons we're saying, it wasn't an ADP. Like this is flat. We were going to take him on the way back, if not there. I mean, you're certainly not getting him on the way back after that. It has to be at this turn if you want to stack.
We got locked out a little bit, to be honest. We definitely got locked out.
But Bateman's a good pick as a wide receiver 4. I like that. I'm in on that.
Yeah.
And my thought would be to double stack him here with Zay.
I'll pound the table for his price as well. Like he shouldn't be going that late.
Let's do Zay.
Let's do Zay. Yeah. Okay. Let's go.
I mean, this is what we were talking about though, with like when we're picking on the turn here. Yes, we're reaching, but we don't pick until 106, and then we mentioned like we're kind of like Sutton is the guy straddling that tier break fence, and then it just falls off, and
way off.
Might as well get him with the double stack.
That's a fun double stack. I love that.
Yeah. It is.
Stack that bitch up, Paul says. Let's go.
Yeah.
By the way, the Seahawks have the same, or the Buccaneers have the same offensive coordinator that the Seahawks had last year, apparently. So, the Seahawks stuff is piling up. But I guess, Baker Mayfield was so unbelievably bad last year. Worst quarterback in the entire league, worse than Zach Wilson in EPA per play, like just a fucking travesty.
Yeah.
And
you shit.
Geno, wasn't that bad in 2021. Like, he wasn't great, but he was like, I don't know, man. It's like, yes, this is a lot like the Seahawks, but like offense that's probably not going to be super psyched to pass the ball and might have horrendous quarterback play does not feel like a comfortable spot for me to be drafting a more of a volume-based receiver. And I've been more in on Evans because I'm like, he can get there with touchdowns. He can get there. He can suck good week. That's kind of who Mike Evans has always been. And Chris Godwin's more like you're just targets. And if the team's not converting third downs, if they're having a punt all the time, Godwin, I think, is at more risk of the offense being a disaster.
That's a fair take, but I think I take issue with that's like all that Godwin can be. Or like, I'm not saying you said that, but if that's the implication, because I think that's what he was coming off the ACL almost intentionally, right? But then I'm checking right now. I thought his ADOT was a little higher later in the year. It doesn't look like it was actually meaningfully higher, but obviously earlier in his career, he's been able to win down the field as well. He has shown that, like, especially in his first couple of years when he was a part-time player, he was like a vertical threat. and then he became more of a volume target guy. I think I think that was more of a Brady thing. Like, I think when we talk about a different offense and things, his role could be different. But it's a fair point. He does need.
If he gets
on the flip side,
downfield stuff, then I like him a lot more.
A lot of the stuff with his target stuff was just like straight wide receiver screens, which are like, I mean, even Baker can't fuck that up. They're just gimme passes. Like, if he's still getting,
yeah, you
all
say
those,
that, but there's a more.
I mean, yeah, he probably
Baker can fuck up a lot.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, but anything that's just like a free reception like that, he's probably still going to be able to pull that off.
Yeah, our hyper
fragile Baker's team. Higbee. I love that. Higbee from Baker's time at the end of the year at the Rams.
I can see it.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That is really funny.
Our hyper fragile het drafter that we had so much hope for has now gone 2 QBs and a fourth running back through 8.
I think you're done, man.
Yeah, good luck.
So Rodgers with Wilson makes a ton of sense unless you think we can push it if there's a really big prize for pushing it, but it seems kind of flat.
I mean, maybe Penny would be kind of a fun little Eagles bet.
Yeah,
I like him more than the other running backs.
I did too, but
you want it?
Let's do that and push quarterback, man. We have an elite.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. I actually do like that. Penny does make sense with the Eagles bet.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like him cost adjusted more than Swift for sure.
Yeah.
He's especially in half point PPR, like, I mean, he's an efficient runner. Yeah, he's not ever healthy, but as long as he can stay on the field for some of the time, though, I think he's going to be playable a lot of those weeks. Miles Sanders was like really playable on rushing only. Like, I expect Penny to be most of that. And we got Rodgers. Wow.
Nice. Have no fear. There are multiple other Miami running backs we can set up for our Baltimore correlation here.
Yeah, that's the easiest one. You just go.
Yeah.
Don't you wish there was a third? Because it's Cedric Wilson, right? And then Braxton Berrios, and who's gonna be the third?
Well, do you know who else? Chosen Anderson.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he was so dust though when he landed on the Saints last year.
He was.
He's with the Dolphins. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, of those guys, Braxton is kind of the one time I've drafted that the fringe Dolphins wide receiver. I went Braxton.
I've gone Braxton a couple times.
Is it a fucked up take that I kind of I just went to our
Braxton Bears.
I just went to our lads and they have him listed as Robbie Chosen.
They did. That's his official name.
No, I thought he was Chosen Anderson.
Oh, Chosen Anderson. Sorry, yeah. Oh,
yeah, they changed the wrong name.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say, is it a fucked up thing to kind of want him to just flame out because I'm gonna make that mistake too much with his name. Like, that's kind of messed up. But
well, do you know what's kind of the other reason I kind of like Berrios is, I mean, I know they didn't use Gesicki a lot last year, but they have no third wide receiver and no tight end. Like, say what you want about Durham
who
Smythe.
I drafted today in a DraftKings draft, 20 rounds. Durham Smythe.
Oh, 20 rounds, I guess. 20 rounds. But honestly, like Braxton Berrios could get a decent amount of burn over the middle.
He could, although my boy Durham.
I mean, I thought the same about Cedric Wilson last year, who is pretty solid. I mean, there is no Gesicki there. But they were so concentrated. I think they're a hyper-concentrated team on their stars. I think it's going to be Tyreek and Waddle.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right, Maker says this team is fire. Let me service the audio listeners who are feeling a little left out in the cold right now. We have Lamar Jackson and Aaron Rodgers. Our running backs are Jahmyr Gibbs and Rashaad Penny. We have A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Chris Godwin, Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers at wide receiver, tight end, Kyle Pitts. So a skinny stack right now with Rodgers to Wilson, double stack with Lamar, and then a bet on Philly with Penny and A.J. Brown. Fun team.
Such a fucking sexy team. I love this team.
Pretty fun.
I'm not super in on Zay Flowers, the prospect, but like obviously fits in this build. I think every other player on this team, and I guess Aaron Rodgers doesn't matter. Every other player on this team, I'm like super excited to have on our roster. It's like it's one of those teams where it's just like it's all fit together really nicely too, but like they're all really fun players.
By the way, Zay Flowers, I'm not super excited about either, but some of the guys he comped to for me were statistically were like Kendall Wright and Michael Floyd, who both he's smaller than Michael Floyd, but like they're kind of similarly productive 4-year players, and those guys are considered busts, but they both had like pretty productive early careers.
Yeah,
and I think
Kendall
he might
Wright
be
was
similar
sweet
type
for a
of guy.
couple years.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I think he's like ready. I don't think he's ever going to be that good, but I think he's going to come in and like do stuff right away. So he could actually be a pretty nice, 9th, 10th round best ball pick. Ideally, I'd like to get him more in like the 11th, but I don't think that's going to happen. So
Kendall Wright, 94 catches, 1,079 yards in the second season, but he only scored twice. So it wasn't like, but 94 catches, PPR, man, back then, 2013. Whew, that had to be up there around the league lead.
Is this true? H-Ball says Durham Smythe's ADP in the DraftKings self-contained league is 95. How did that happen?
No.
How?
Is Durham's mom grinding out
Durham's
the
mom
12-team
loves
MFL 10s on DK?
She loves cash.
The cash game queen, Mrs. Smythe.
How is that possible? That's in the 8th round? That's his average draft position, implying he's gone higher than that?
Please?
Yeah.
Can you send us a screenshot of this somehow? We need to find. I actually want to pull this up somehow.
So Herbert with our pits, we need RBs.
Oh, yeah, that's
correlated,
perfect.
7 picks passed.
Boom.
Gretch,
Get
you
it.
on board with that?
Yeah, get it.
I like Herbert. Herbert's good.
He's been falling. This is now, I think, the 3rd straight draft I've done today where Herbert slid.
Where
past
do the
ADP.
other Bears backs go?
They're still on the board, but like Roshan's creeping up. I wouldn't be surprised to see Roshan flip Khalil Herbert with how much the Slappies love Roshan.
We could look at what are the other positions got going on?
So we're done at quarterback. Running back,
Wide receiver and tight end.
wide receiver, and tight end here. If we want, the chat is thirsty for some week 17 correlation. We do have DPJ on a Cleveland bring back. If we want tight end, I think we could wait for a Likely or a Conklin with Pitts. So I think I'm
some correlation. Nico's fucking awesome. So
I like Nico, and we're still kind of adding.
We could do GPJ, but I don't.
Pat loves Nico.
I love Nico.
He wrote a whole article about him.
I wrote a whole article about him before it was cool.
Yeah, and it was a good article.
Before the draft.
I read it as a Nico skeptic and left and went and looked up his profile and all my stuff too, and was like, you know what?
Can I pull up 2 back-to-back comments in the chat that are cracking me up? Roshan will be the starter by week 17, followed up by who are the Slappies? Give them the Gretch looking up.
Man, I've gotten that a couple times now, Ben. BBM4 told me on the elite tight end stuff that when I was talking about the share of Kelsey, Andrews, and Kittle's that they accounted for 41% of the tight end spike weeks last year, he was like, "I don't believe you." And then I went and looked it up. That's how you get a legendary upside.
I wasn't saying I don't believe you, but I was just like, I wanted to see something else on Nico, but that is a hilarious story. But because I was just like, that's not how I remembered, some element of his numbers. What am I missing here? And then in getting into it, I was like, oh, he actually is pretty interesting. This is a great call.
Michael says Dalton Kincaid falling a bit, 138. It's because Liam is drafting on DraftKings these days. And so there's been a momentary dip in his ADP.
By the way, I did a pod with Liam today. I had him on Legendary Upside podcast. And we were going through, we didn't have quite enough time. We were getting this really interesting conversation about the 19th and 20th rounds on DraftKings, type of players you want to target there, some of his favorite running backs there. And he was like, I gotta go. And then he found, in the last 3 seconds, he found time to tout Nyheim Hines, which is the first time he had touted a Bill the whole time. He snuck it in.
Wow. He was just like, he wasn't going to let the stream end without one Bills tout. I mean, I can't believe I'm about to bite on this. What is the Nyheim Hines take?
I was just going to ask that.
There wasn't time for him to fully do the tout.
You're like, producer, cut.
Yeah.
I mean, they got Cook, Damian Harris, and they brought in Latavius Murray, and Hines was basically a punt returner only for him after the trade last year.
He was like,
I thought about cutting
Hines.
Hines in Dynasty. I was like, I don't really have any reason to hold this guy anymore. It looks like he's just going to be a punt returner the rest of his career.
Hey, real quick. We got Austin in my mentions here confirming on DraftKings. The board goes
Oh my God.
Jared Goff, Durham Smythe,
No.
Gabe Davis, Khalil Herbert.
What happened? How did
That's a
that happen?
psyop. That is Photoshop.
So, that's awesome.
Holy shit.
Also, shout
you
out to all
tweet
you
that,
guys
dude?
grinding the self-contained leagues over there.
Can you tweet that you're trying to catch a value on Durham Smythe? Getting them past ADP?
Dude, that's incredible.
Oh my God.
Mims.
Wow. It's as early as
Wow.
I've seen him go.
Yeah.
That's early for him?
Yeah.
I like
But
that
I've
price.
I've said I think the two biggest risers, or what I was saying is two guys I think are going to become not values on Underdog pretty soon, but will probably stick around as values on DraftKings. Marvin Mims and Jaden Reed. I think those guys get steamed.
So I had a
Underdog
choice
Tuesday.
in a dynasty draft the other day. My last first round pick, or I guess I have one more, the ship chasing one waiting up, but I had to pick between Mims and Rashaad Rice, and I actually looked at their Underdog ADPs to get an idea of what the market liked on year one. Rashaad Rice is going 3 rounds higher. Mims has the higher dynasty ADP. Kind of interesting.
DPJ at ADP, get both.
Yeah, let's do it.
Ooh, do we need that for a stack?
It's a
It's
bring
our
back
week
on the
17 Jets bring back.
Okay.
Yeah. We're at that level already.
I don't like Donovan Peoples-Jones, but that's the right decision I've learned from you guys.
I like how this is lining up for a running back selection here too.
Yeah, we need a fourth running back. But I think we have 3 guys that make
Yeah.
a lot of sense.
Yeah, we do. I can make the case for multiple.
Are you
guys
talking
here.
about Algier, Mostert, and Foreman?
Singletary, because we already had another Texan. But
Yeah. I mean,
I think
ADP games,
Mostert's the
Algier,
guy.
Mostert would be my preference. Gretch, do you have one?
Yeah.
That's our main stack.
I like that.
All right. Where were all the week 17 correlation hounds? We just tossed you a bone. DPJ and Raheem Mostert correlated with our 2 main quarterback stacks. You happy?
Bringbacks, not even stacks. Those are bringbacks.
Bring backs. I saw this take on Twitter. I forget who tweeted it out. I think was it Madison? It might have been Madison. Tweeted out Rashaad Rice is this year's Jalen Tolbert. Stolen valor, Alex. Credit that take. Madison. And it did trigger me when I saw it. I mean, he absolutely. That's the thing about how weak this wide receiver class is. Any of those guys could be Mingo, etc. But they're still the best bets on the board, at least where they are right now.
I agree. Yeah, and Tolbert, I mean, was a 3rd round pick. It's a little different. 2nd and 3rd is a little different.
They traded up to get him in the second. He caught 90-something passes last year. That's I mean, I almost went Rice over Mims in that dynasty pick. I think he's gonna. I mean, I'll just keep making the same bet. I don't care. I don't think Sky Moore was a bad bet. I'll say it. Like, why would what about the logic for the Sky Moore play was bad? Sometimes we miss. Sometimes we miss on veterans too. Everyone who loves that smash us on Sky Moore was in on Zeke last year at price. Was fucking loving it. God, Zeke is going in the 5th round. I can't believe it. And we were like, dude, never draft Zeke, no matter what you do.
Yeah, if like Sky Moore came, if like Guy Chore came along, I'd be drafting the hell out of Guy.
Yeah.
Chore,
My point, by the way, is it's easier on a miss when it's like a Zeke and you go, oh, well, I've seen it before. We've talked about this in past years, but like when you've seen it before, it doesn't hurt as bad. You're just like, he fell off, he got old, whatever, he went over the age cliff. But when you were wrong about a young player, it's like, oh, you got way too hyped. You bought the hype. It's like, no, it was a cost-adjusted bet. Sometimes they miss. We miss. But I mean, I'm fine.
What I'll say on Moore, and this is what I was mentioning this with Liam. I do think I made a mistake with more of not just going over to DraftKings and scooping more there last year instead, and chasing him up the underdog boards.
Fair. His price was ridiculous. I mean, Evan makes a great point. He was going 2 rounds ahead of Garrett Wilson. Like, we were obviously saying Garrett Wilson was the best value of the whole draft, like pretty much all summer. Like, all of us were in agreement on that.
Yeah. I just took
there are arguments. Sky's price got a little rich. Yes. I'm just
Yes,
saying in a vacuum, I'm okay with the bet and making the bet in those general rounds, whether it was like we could have got a 9th or 10th round price, it would have been better. But yeah, the 7th round was a little rich. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yep. Rondell would have been kind of fun if he made it back. Although what do we have? 7 wide receivers?
Yeah, we're at a 2-4-7-1, so we're at least going to get one more tight end, and then we have 2 more picks. One is definitely a running back, and then I think it comes down to, is it a 6 running back or 8 wide receiver team?
I prefer. I think I'd like to do this is 2, 4, 6, 2, 6, 8, 2.
Oh, you're right. Sorry, we have 4 picks. Yeah, we can do a 2-6-8-2 for sure.
That's what I think the best move is.
Yes,
I like to treat Jahmyr Gibbs like he's a super expensive 0 running back pick.
Yeah, it does. It feels a little thin for a 5 RB build.
I love that. I like that call too, because it's not guaranteed, volume. He's going to have some low weeks. It's not like a guy that is going to get 20 touches.
I'm here for the double tap on Dolphins running backs at this price.
What about Taysom, who correlates with Godwin? It's a week 17 bring back.
I would prefer to push tight end because we have other outs with Conklin and Likely.
Yeah,
okay.
I like
right.
that. Let's push that in.
And do Jeff Wilson. I'm good with that.
Oh, it's like, I'm the only guy that gets to take 2 Dolphins running backs on the same team, win the money, and then I'm going to gatekeep that strategy forever going forward.
I just said I like Taysom. That's all. I did that today, actually. I took Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson today. But you can't do it.
I heard Davis made the take on ADP chasing that I completely co-signed. He talked about Jeff Wilson. I think all 3 Dolphins running backs are targets, and I want to have my exposure scaled or weighted towards the cheapest ones. I think Mostert and Jeff Wilson are absolute smashes at these prices.
Absolutely. Completely agree with that.
And it's not taking anything away from A-Chain. He's a fun bet too, but man, this is a wide open backfield.
It is interesting to be on the other side of the hype train though, because I think the community's really excited about A-Chain in that landing spot. And on draft night, if you were on Twitter, I mean, there was a lot of excitement. And part of that leaves you the ability to say, well, look, Mostert and Wilson are now, I like this take by Jeff. A-Chain has to be the guy. Yeah, this is a great take, but A-Chain has to be the guy for Mostert or Wilson, one of them to not hit. And I don't think it's that obvious. It's in fact, I think it's very clearly not that obvious.
For the audio listeners, Josh was saying that they're the new San Francisco.
And
can I not talk you into Taysom?
Talk Gretch into Taysom.
I want Chuba or Tajay Spears, who correlates with Nico.
All right, I'll take Chuba. Chuba's great.
I would prefer Chuba still, but if you guys want the correlation, then Tajay makes sense, right?
What are we getting correlation with?
Nico?
Nothing. Well, yeah, what we're getting is a running back who we know
Nico.
what his role is. Yeah.
Chuba's a better pick. Like a tier better, right? I mean,
I think Chuba's such a good pick.
Yeah.
Me too.
You guys have sold.
Now we're nice and done. We're like fully done at running back. We did it.
Yeah.
Chuba's a great pick there. Yeah, running backs are very
Man,
solid.
I can't believe I couldn't talk you guys into Taysom though.
Save that for your.
He's a running back who plays tight end.
I listened to you guys talk about that today because I was binging ADP chasing, and my counter to this stuff too is, and I will say he has gotten a little cheaper of late. There was earlier in the draft season, I don't know if it was the big boards or whatever, he was going like 140 in some of those. It must have been pre-Foster Moreau or whatever. He's dropped down a little bit, which is funny.
Position.
All I'm saying is I don't know why he dropped, but he was going earlier. And my thing was, part of the appeal of Taysom last year was they legit did not have a quarterback, and there was a good chance Taysom was going to start like 6 to 8 games at quarterback. Like that was a huge out.
He crushed, and that didn't happen.
He didn't crush. He was fine.
Yes, he did.
He did not.
He was like the tight end 8 or something.
Show me all the winning best ball teams he was on.
That's because tight end sucked. Like he had the 1-3 touchdown game.
Yeah.
And then what was it? It was 4 touchdown game. He threw for 3 TDs or he ran for 3 and threw 1. And he had already ran for 2 prior to that. And he got he got 2 rushing TDs in the fantasy playoffs as well. But
2 rushing TDs. Not a lot of tight ends get 2 rushing TDs in a game. Seems kind of cool. That's possible. And we didn't even get. He was tight end 6. He finished tight end 6
because of that one game, and touchdowns. Really, like
because of that one game is the story of like literally every tight end who is an elite. Yeah. Because that one game is like literally the story for every tight end.
Here's the thing: you don't get to tout Taysom for Week 17 correlation when you didn't originally even want the Tampa Bay Buck pick on the team.
That's not how correlation works. Once you make the bet, then you follow through on the bet. So you guys are like, we need Godwin. They're going to be good. They're passing so much. Oh, they're passing so much. So there's going to be a lot of volume in that game in Week 17. Maybe we want another piece from the other side. No.
You know what? Do you know what Taysom Hill is like? Taysom Hill is like when people talk about Bitcoin being worth $1 million, and it's like you don't want to live in the world where that happens because the grid has gone down and the currency has just completely blown up, and that's when your Bitcoin's good. That's what Taysom being a league winner is like. You do not want to live in the world.
I don't want to live.
Taysom is a league winner.
Unfortunately, Pat, you have convinced me. And looking at his stat page, like he had more carries last year than he had at any other season in his career. I didn't realize that.
Ben, now consider that Kamara's getting suspended, and they're replacing him with a rookie and Jamal Williams. Think maybe there could be some more touchdowns in Taysom Hill's future?
Jamal Williams scored 9 million touchdowns last year.
So. I know. But then the team that let him do that said you can go elsewhere, and maybe he doesn't. Their coaches don't love him as much as they love Taysom Hill. I mean, dude, the fact that the new coaching staff was like, I don't think Sean Payton was using this guy enough. It's a hell of an outcome for Taysom. Like, I just didn't think that was in the range.
I prefer
that. I didn't either.
I mean, that's new information. We should use that new information.
Yeah, it's fair. That is new information. I didn't realize that. I didn't think Sean Payton was using this guy enough. Was never a possibility in my mind. Not a possibility.
I thought the Taysom thing was like a fun bit last year, but I hate to tell you, Pete, I've been fully radicalized.
Yeah, have fun with that. Tyler Conklin did get sniped from us. I do like likely with a Lamar team with bets.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah,
that was the biggest reason I was fine with it. Was I thought Conklin and Likely both made sense. Likely's a fun one for sure.
That is also why I didn't really pound the table.
I mean, this is a hugely hedged. Obviously, we don't wish injuries on anyone, but if Mark Andrews goes down, there's still scenarios where if Bateman is a hit and Flowers is a hit, the passing game can still be good enough. Lamar can still be good enough. Likely Flowers. I mean, if Andrews misses time, this is we have their whole passing game.
So I do think we're a wide receiver here. There's some fun options. We could go for the unstacked Houston thing with Dell and Nico. We could go Cedric Tillman for a second Jets bring back. We could scroll down to a Corey Davis.
I don't know if Davis is even there, though. I know they're saying he will be, but...
mean on the team? Yeah. I would say Dell or Tillman.
I like Tillman.
Big dude could catch a touchdown. I want to go adjust your ranks, bud.
Yes. That was great.
All right. I actually will adjust my ranks.
That was great.
I actually am going to adjust my ranks.
Not as I do.
God damn it, dude. One
God, I can't believe you had Tank Della ahead of Cedric Tillman.
Right. Okay. Can we use ADP next time?
Oh, hey, our hyper fragile guy joined. Het. Draft was getting a bit murky, but I think I recovered. Didn't realize this was a ship chasing draft. Yeah, that would have been good.
Well, we already buried you. We buried you when you took Makers. I'm sorry. Okay, so you did rip wide receiver after that, though.
Yeah,
you really ripped it.
You did. You punted. You've punted tight ends. Let's go look at this team.
Yeah, we're saucing.
2, 4, 10.
He didn't ask for the sauce, but here it comes.
Yeah. Okay.
You want the sauce?
The Akers pick is probably the worst one in this build.
Yeah. That's the only pick I think is like a mistake.
Yeah, but this team is pretty booty still.
Yeah, I mean, stacked up Richardson with both Alec Pierce and Josh Downs. I think that's kind of fun.
I like the Hodgins pick. I think the Hodgins pick is like you need upside. You need a dude who could just be like a starting wide receiver, and he at least has a chance to be.
Yeah. All right. So to recap our team, we finished with a 2-6-8-2 build. Lamar Jackson and Aaron Rodgers. Our running backs, Jahmyr Gibbs, Rashaad Penny, Khalil Herbert, Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson, Chuba Hubbard. Wide receivers, A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Chris Godwin, Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers, Nico Collins, DPJ, Cedric Tillman. Tight ends, Kyle Pitts and Isaiah Likely. No notes. Perfection. Shut it down.
That's a good team.
Only notes for my ranks that
Yeah.
are a little spicy on Tank Dell.
Yeah.
Only notes for anyone who ranked Tank Dell ahead of Cedric Tillman.
Yeah.
Gretch, what do you feel? What do you think about this team?
I dig it. I mean, it's always, for me, it's always tough to draft players that I don't like drafting. Like,
Yeah.
we talk about it on Bananas a decent amount. Like, we try to draft guys we really like, and that's in large part because we're playing, 20 or fewer high stakes leagues that we really care about and wanting, a specific concentration of players, even in the later rounds. It's not how you do it in this. In this, you have to be willing to play into uncertainty. And obviously I write a lot about that and I'm very aware of uncertainty. Guys like Cedric Tillman, I don't love as a player, but he makes a lot of sense in this build. And it would not be that surprising if he has a really good year, right? Or like Zay Flowers. Those are not rookies that I'm in on. I don't have them on any dynasty rosters. Didn't take them in any of my dynasty drafts. But they're still rookie receivers, and I've been wrong before. I was not that into Chris Olave last year, and that didn't work. So the structure of the team is awesome. I just want to draft with you guys forever. The quickness with which you guys identify the structural stuff, I'm gonna struggle with when I start doing my own fast drafts. But it's a fun team.
You're gonna pick it up so quickly, dude. You get 15 drafts under your belt, and then the board.
But that's all I'm gonna be able to get done. And I mean, I might not even get 15 under my belt fast drafts before I'm back in my home state.
So this is tough with slow drafts. It might be a terrible suggestion, but in the fast drafts, this Davis Maddock taught me this trick. You just star everybody on the team you just took a player from, and then the opposing Week 17 team. So memorize the schedule. I'll give a shout out to my Week 17 memory devices post, which is kind of a joke. But honest to God, I had the schedule memorized after writing it. I was like, I think they work.
Do you know what? I really enjoyed that, but I was disappointed because if there was ever a time for you to dust off the guitar and sing that was the time, man. You still can't. It's not too late.
He's got to write a song about Week 17. Yes.
He knows that. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
That's me too.
All right. I've got one more.
I wanted to just look at our team that we drafted. It was my 7th draft. It was 2 weeks ago because I wasn't here. Gretch and I weren't here, just to look at how this team has aged. We had another 2-6-8-2 build. Tua and Derek Carr, Ramondre, Javonte Williams, Eli Mitchell, Kendre Miller, Jeff Wilson, and Izzy. Wide receivers, Tyreek Hill, Olave, Mike Williams, Traylon Burks, Lockett, Rashee Rice at 148. Nice. He's definitely moved up. Marvin Mims at 172, Isaiah Hodgins, and then Kittle and McBride. So honestly, a very similar structure in team with the elite tight ends. I guess here we do have the slightly more expensive anchor running back relative to Gibbs, but very similar.
What were our quarterbacks?
Quarterbacks, Tua and Derek Carr on this. I guess we have later than with the Lamar.
Right.
But then slightly better wide receivers here in this mid-range with Mike Williams swapped out for the Lamar pick, essentially.
So we didn't luck in any bringbacks, but
oh yeah, you're right, because this was pre-schedule.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh well. We have some stacks. We have some stacks going on. I like the Denver thing we did. We got Mims, we got Javonte. Denver. Well, now I'm blanking. Now I said I memorized it all. Denver plays the Chargers. So when you get
the Chargers, yeah.
Oh, we got Mike Williams. All right, so we got a little Denver
Javonte,
thing.
Exactly. It was just as we drew it up there.
That's
just
fun.
As we drew it up. Favorite non-SC team in this draft. I don't know if we can. It's hard to go through these. Spags. Spags finally took Najee. Spags goes really thin at tight end. Irv and Michael Mayer. Jimmy Garoppolo.
Back, you got, they're both stacked. One's a bring back, one's stacked with Jimmy.
Yeah. It's easier to kind of look at the board this way. I did like Sam's team when he was starting. He had the nice structure going there, and then kind of built out a big Buffalo stack with James Cook, Dalton Kincaid. That looked nice. Our friend Gary here, who said we were forcing him into a boomer team that started Kelsey and Eckler, fell on the Dalvin Cook landmine at 89, Javonte at 104, Alvin Kamara. So all of the falling running backs there.
I mean, I kind of like him at those prices.
Yeah.
The Kamara, not as much, but the other two.
I've done this one a few times. I love that little cheap mini late, Shakir and Tyquan Thornton.
That's nice.
That's the fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else stand out to you guys?
What did the CMC drafter do?
CMC drafter went Barkley, then Andrews, and then London, Christian Kirk, Tyler Lockett, Traylon Burks, stacked up Geno with Lockett, sniped Alan Lazard from us. My God. Yeah. I don't know if I love this team.
I was going to ask about, I think it was 12 was the most zero RB team. How did their team?
12. Oh, he did the Jalen Hurts, Devonta, Christian Watson, Jerry Jeudy, got the Goddard, so the double stack, Marquise Brown, and then went, mega Eagles there, Swift, David Montgomery, A-Chain, Harris, Gibson. What, man, and I've done this myself. I have had the one draft where I took Kyler on an elite QB team, but that was at like pick 190. I don't know how I feel about 3 quarterbacks.
Who was his first?
Hurts at 112.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
honestly, I might just take.
And then
Kyler
he took Van Jefferson. I
Skip
mean,
Wilson.
he's gonna how many picks are you gonna throw away in the middle rounds?
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think about going Hurts Kyler? I've considered that. I haven't done it yet.
You mean just as a general pairing?
Yeah, because Hurts has a late bye, and they don't share the same bye. The only issue with Kyler that makes him a tough pick in general is that he also, I think, has a week 14 bye. So in addition to like him not playing for a while, you have to deal with the bye week. So, but I've been thinking like, if you basically don't need Kyler a ton because you have Hurts filling like every week for you, it's a way to sneak in some upside as a QB2.
I wanted to pull up this question in the chat. Don't think this is one of our regulars. William asked, how many entries turn someone from a casual to someone doing this for real? Do you think there's a threshold that helps diversify your portfolio enough? First of all, I'd say I don't know what doing this for real means. We're all just having fun blasting off. But I think what you're hinting at.
I think he means winning the $2 billion.
Yeah, that's
wow.
It's not an entry level. Yeah.
The one thing I'll say is the more teams you draft, the more patience you have in drafts, and you start to kind of reorient. I think if I was only doing 5 drafts, like there's certain guys I would go and get. Like I just want these guys on my team. These are the guys I want to root for, sweat for, whatever. But when you do more drafts, like the way I personally approach every draft is like, I want to draft the best possible team for this specific room. Yes, it's fun to look at the exposures, and sometimes I use it to break ties, but I really just want to draft the best possible team. And I think the more drafts you do, it's easier to be at peace with that. Like, so what? I don't get this stack. Who cares? I'm going to draft the best possible team with what I'm given. And so I think once you get to 15, 20 drafts, I think that starts to become a lot easier.
Yeah, I think you want to do enough drafts where you get sick of what you're doing because you're going to do the same thing a bunch. And you're going to be like, the first like probably 10 drafts you do, maybe more like 15 even, you're just going to be like, I have solved fantasy football. I figured it out. And I can, every time I go in, I can just do this. And
so that's when I quit. Sounds good.
I can't believe I still can do this. I can do this every time. And then you're like, I'm bored of this. This sucks. I just do the same thing. And then like getting over that to where you start to mix in more guys. You're like, well, I haven't really taken any of this guy and I don't hate him. And then I think Pete's thing of like you're trying to draft the best possible team for that room, I completely agree with. I think another way to think about it is like I want to draft the best possible version of like this structure or this stack so you get pushed onto. And it's like I don't like stacking up Aaron Rodgers, but like you go through, you're like, well, how do I stack up Aaron Rodgers? I've been kind of pushed onto this. How would I do it? It's like, well, I'd probably take Lazard. I don't like Lazard either, but he loves Lazard. So if I'm betting on Aaron Rodgers, I guess I'm betting on Lazard too. You know what I mean? Or whatever it is. Like trying to think through. Like sometimes I'll end up on a structure I don't like, but I'm like, I'm gonna draft this better than the way other people draft this structure. I'm gonna like lean into these ideas and what makes this structure work when it works. Okay, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna execute this structure the right way and have fun with that.
Yeah, and I have been having fun with it. I've been drafting quote unquote more gross teams. I'm getting less of my own personal player targets, but I am drafting the structures I feel very confident about around players I'm not normally going out of my way to get because the draft rooms just don't let me get the fun, sexy players that I normally like at a value. And I refuse to reach just to get a guy that I want just because it makes me happy. You know, like I'm just not going to do that.
Well, then you're just dead immediately.
Right. Exactly.
Doug said, I mean, should we close with a sauce? Because Doug said his brother's team 3, and he feels like he busted the SC group.
Hey,
Right.
wait, where's this chat? Wait.
Before
it's a little
before we
now.
close, I want to get to touch a Green's comment, but we can do
Yeah.
Let's do this first.
No, we'll walk it off with a saucing his brother here, who's feeling himself a little too much. I did see this conversation going around on Twitter. I've been thinking about it and tossing it around in my head. I don't know if I have any cool takes on it yet. Do you guys?
I missed this on Twitter, and it's just coincidentally I have a draft that I broke down a draft based on some of these ideas I have about correlation. Basically, my idea is like I was in sort of a response to a different conversation going around on Twitter of like where correlation falls and sort of the things to keep track of. And my take is that like if you're comfortable with all the fundamentals of best ball drafting, then it really falls not in that list, but sort of towards the side and becomes like a separate thing you're thinking about the entire draft. And my belief is that if you're comfortable with all the fundamentals and you're executing all of those and you can weigh all those decisions, then you might not be thinking about correlation enough and trying to build in additional game set like that Penny and AJ Brown thing. You know, like that's the type of stuff you'll want to be thinking about as you go. That's not as obvious, but it's driven by correlation. And the reason you want to be doing stuff like that is it'll create more flexibility throughout your draft. So it's like, well, yeah, I didn't get the original quarterback that I wanted, but I already created this little mini just kind of for fun. And that mini can become a backup stack. You know, you tack the quarterback on and you already have a bring back and a stack. You just need to add one more wide receiver, you know, all that type of thing. So this is actually a draft where I already had a quarterback. I drafted Diggs in the first round, Allen in the second. And I ended up getting boxed out of Russell Wilson, where I had a potential stack there. I had a Mike Williams and Cortland Sutton. I didn't reach for Wilson ahead of ADP. I tried to let him fall to me. He didn't. And I ended up getting Mac Jones as my quarterback too. And he plays the Bills in week 17. And I don't think it's ideal. But my take is like, if you're betting on Josh Allen, particularly if you have Diggs Allen, then he's got to hit your lineup in week 17, dude. So really it's about, you know, keeping the quarterback 2 price low, which I did in that case. And you know, I did have him. I got him stacked with Tyquan Thornton and Ramondre Stevenson. And then I also stacked the Broncos and the Chargers, and they play the Patriots and the Bills in week 16. So I got an additional 2 week 16 stacks out of doubling up the week 17 game at quarterback. And so I think in that case, like it's totally fine. But overall, I would try to avoid it, I think.
Yeah. One thing that I actually just thought of as you were talking about it, I actually don't think my take on it doesn't have to necessarily do with the quarterbacks themselves, but how much you game stacked those or stacked up those 2 teams, right? Because if you overstack those 2 teams and now you have 8 guys from that one single game in week 17, I do not think that is optimal. I mean, you're going to need that game to score like 60 points for those guys for that to hit if you have 8 guys from the same game because you did 4 or 5 guys with each quarterback. And so to me, it's more like how skinny, how slim are your stacks? Can you hit enough of that parlay to reach the upper echelon?
Right. Yeah. And I think so I ended up tacking on like Deontay Hardy to that. So I probably overstacked it to what you're saying. I had Allen with 3 wide receivers and Damian Harris. And then I had Mac Jones with Ramondre Stevenson and Tyquan Thornton. So, yeah, not all of those guys are hitting my Week 17 lineup. But most of it's on the Allen side.
Yeah.
And he's the
you're
guy
making a
making
bet that the Bills are going to be the best offense in football for the year.
For
And
the
that's
year.
It's not really a bad bet. It's the Bills. There's always the spots where you can stretch the rules a little bit too. And like what you just described is a way of, I think, being willing to stretch the rules a little bit. And I mean, it's the tacit knowledge thing that, I've written about before. It's like, yeah, I usually don't do A and B, but except when C is present or D, and then maybe I'll do F. Like, and so, yeah, whenever
And
you're like.
I also, I had Sutton, Mims, and Mike Williams creating a Week 17 without the quarterback stack of the Chargers and the Broncos. And this one's a little silly, but I had Pitts, Cole Kmet, and Tyler Algier. So I'm like, if there's points in 2 other games, I need Josh Allen to go nuclear, right? I need him to go nuclear. And that's what I don't like about it. I don't have 2 outs at quarterback. I have 1, which is a little bit of a bummer. But to be honest, once you get to like round 14 or whatever, you probably only have 1 out at quarterback anyway. You're just sort of lying to yourself that you have a second if you take like Jimmy Garoppolo. You know what I mean? Like he's not in your Week 17 lineup either.
Yeah. This is again, like I do feel like there's this circular nature to best ball debates. Not that I don't enjoy them, but it's like you're constantly going around this thing of like, oh, that could actually be very beneficial to you for weeks 1 through 14, but not for this specific playoff week. Or this actually might be optimal, close to the optimal over, an infinite amount of drafts, but it might not be actually what allows you to get first place and climb up and surpass a bunch of optimal teams. And so it's like, you could always make really smart arguments on either side. And that's why I do love all this stuff. Also, that reminds me of a plug I just did on my channel, a roundtable with Sam Hoppin, Ben Dominguez from Fantasy Data Pros, and about the Best Ball Data Bowl that I'm hosting with those guys. And there's all the details over on that show, but we did a roundtable just talking about some of the pitfalls of best ball data being in a lot of ways very descriptive and not necessarily predictive. Also talking about sample sizes and kind of how to think through those things. And also I tossed out a bunch of ideas of like things that we're discussing right now, where it's like, I would love to see data, digging into some of these problems and showing them to us in a way that gets us closer to the answer.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm excited
to see what comes for that. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to power down the stuff here. As usual, guys, for any of my live stream drafts, if you leave a comment after the show, you'll be entered into a giveaway. I'm giving $1,500 away when my channel hits 15K subs. We actually just hit a nice little milestone here on Ship Chasing channel, 4.5K subs. So keep subbing to these channels, leave a comment. Any one of my drafts will get you an entry. So every time you leave a comment on a new stream, there were 3 of them today. You can go watch the Swolecast. You can watch the one on Fantasy Life. And then, of course, here on Ship Chasing, Gretch, what else is coming up in your neck of the woods?
Just projection stuff, which I think I mentioned 2 weeks ago when you asked me this, and I haven't gotten any of it out yet, but it's going to be coming hot. So I'm excited.
Awesome. And
a lot of player takes, a lot of stuff that you can apply to best ball, but
here we go.
Not best ball structure. It's like, maybe this is the right guy to tack on in week 18. Maybe this is the right guy to see as a potential ADP riser or whatever. But
yeah. What about you, Pat?
I've got a post coming out tomorrow morning, scheduled for 9:15 tomorrow. So if you want to check that out, sign up for Legendary Upside, legendaryupside.com/early. Still have some underdog credits, $50 underdog credits if you sign up. Those will hit your account within about a week of signing up. And unless a bunch of you sign up to make a big enough batch to where I have to send it over early. So strengthen numbers there. And did a podcast today with Liam Murphy. Talked about some of the DraftKings tournaments and kind of tournament selection ideas and what we're doing in the late rounds over there. And Legendary Sickos tomorrow with Eric. We dive into a bunch of the Week 17 correlation stuff as well.
There you go. And also one of the really big value adds coming for Leg Up subs is Pat doing a tight 3-minute song on all of the Week 17 mnemonic devices. So look forward to that.
You're going there. It's like
We will see you guys back on Monday at noon for ADP chasing. What's up, Gretch?
We never roasted that guy's brother.
Oh,
Yeah, aren't we supposed to roast his
dude.
brother?
Yeah.
All right, fine. Let me go back. And I was landing the plane, but
I know you were landing it so well.
I know,
too.
but we
right.
touched the wheel. We touched the wheels, and we went right back up in the sky.
Paul was ready for it. Paul says, "Sauce the team."
All right, this is going to be a walk-off sauce. He didn't ask for it, but he's getting 10.
Sure, you think you want ship chasing to review your team.
How much sauce would you like on your team review?
Oh, I love this.
You asked for the sauce.
He wants it extra saucy.
You think you want it spicy.
He wants 13.
Oh boy.
But then you realize you can't handle the heat.
Fuck this guy. Do we have to review his team?
Hey.
Why did you take Moel and Cox? What are you doing?
So fucking cute with his 0 RB. Evan, you will speak when you are spoken to. Fuck off for his awful team.
Ship chasing team reviews are getting spicy this summer. Come get the sauce.
2. He wanted a 2.
All right, what team is it?
Yeah,
Team
where's
3?
the team?
Team 3. Debo Samuel at pick 27. What is this, fucking 2022? I mean, like, what are we doing over here, bud? That's a
Well,
late
hang on.
first
Give him
round
credit for grabbing Kenneth Walker in the 4th round in the ship chasing room. You just got to do it.
Yeah, I gotta make sure to grab him.
Do you know who says there's no dead zone? FVNGNZ just going into the eye of the storm with Kenneth Walker and Aaron Jones.
I mean,
right
anytime
here.
you get Aaron Jones literally like the perfect dead zone back. We all know what his upside is, but no one wants to take him high anymore. Doesn't have his quarterback who loves to throw to him around the goal line. I mean, like Aaron Jones, complete dead zone back.
What the fuck does CJ Stroud do for this team? Honestly, Tua, Derek Carr, nice job. 2 quarterbacks, you're done. CJ Stroud, what are we doing here with CJ Stroud?
Well, you know, when you take 2 in the 8th round, you just have to tackle on CJ Stroud.
Do you know what's
Gus
even
Edwards
more,
is still in the NFL.
Do you know what's more egregious about the CJ Stroud thing? I thought he might have had a Houston player first. He set up a backdoor Nathaniel Dell stack.
No,
with
dude, we
CJ
could have
Stroud.
sniped him on Tank Dell. Is this why he's saying he beat us? Because he's like, you idiots passed on Tank Dell.
Why does this guy think he drafted better than us? This is a disaster.
He was watching this
Congratulations.
Tillman. Oh, dude, don't take Dell.
Who are his tight ends? Oh,
Uh,
Darren Waller. Yeah, that's gonna work out good. He was good
Yeah.
in 2020, 21 also.
So
Yeah.
was Everett.
Yeah, Gerald Everett.
Marvin Mims at 147. Congratulations when everyone watching this stream has him at pick 190 in their drafts. Good job, bud. Enjoy that.
At least wait until August when he's actually steamed. I mean, my God.
Yeah.
I mean,
also,
when your best pick of the whole draft is Samaje Perine, you've definitely done well.
this team is just screaming for Braxton Berrios on it, too. I can't take a Tua skinny stack seriously without Braxton Berrios on it.
I mean, this is pretty good for an auto draft team.
I mean, yeah. Elijah Moore, 5 picks ahead of ADP, unstacked. Yeah, I guess he heard Davis had 40% and was like, "That's my influencer."
Davis loves Elijah
Wow.
Moore.
Anytime you can draft a 5 running back team with 2 in the dead zone, I think you definitely have to do it here. I have nothing to say about this. This is one of the worst teams I've ever seen, guys. Have a good night.